So I think the next group are already on the call. It should be Elliot, and Josh.
Awesome. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, hi.
Hi. I will just share my screen.
Have you all done a mic test just to make sure they all work?
Hello.
Yep, Josh, yours is done. Elliot, yours isn't working.
Mine isn't working.
But you can just swap headsets with other people if needs be.
Yeah, no problem.
If there's one person talking, just make sure the rest of you sit on mute because you're all sat really close together and it might echo. Fingers crossed you remember this one, Steph. Sam, I don't think you got the pleasure of seeing it last time.
I don't think I've seen this one. This looks fun.
Just Charlie did the calls, but yeah, you'll enjoy it. I think they've got an addition that I think you in particular will like.
Okay, that's exciting. So guys, if you can give us like a little brief synopsis of the plot and stuff before we start, that'd be great. But yeah, go for it.
Yeah, our game Tactics Tea and Tentacles is a third-person stealth game where you play as a Martian on Mars who must gather items and then escape from the Redcoats who invade during the evening. So this is one of the methods that you can follow that I'm going to play. This is specifically the breakout method, and I will just talk through gameplay mechanics and stuff as they come. One of the things that is a big issue of games I've worked on other things is people never look at the controls. So we've tried our hardest to make sure that the players are forced into seeing the controls. We've also got the list of escape methods that they can follow, as well as checking their inventory to learn more about items. So we wanted to have this sort of this pressure put onto the player, so we included a timer so that it would sort of force them to rush around and find and purchase the items that they want. So they kind of they can follow the method, or they can strategize really quickly on what they can do. So this area is the market, where the player can buy their items for the night phase. At this stage, they come as either just individual items to make up key items, or you can just buy key items to sort of speed things up. I also have we have these little credit stashes around the level that the player can find to earn extra credits for them to use throughout the level, as well as little hats that the player can buy to sort of just for fun. One of the things inside of beta that we focused a bit on was the sounds. This was something that I never really. It was sort of hard to realize how much of an effect this sort of had, because when we're doing it in college, we can't hear. We don't have headphones to always hear all the stuff. So when I'm at home and I'm starting to put sounds in, you can really hear a benefit of the sounds. This is the cantina, where the player can buy drinks, as well as the cantina boxes that can also help them during the night phase. I'm just going to move this ahead to the escape period. So the escape period is now fully nighttime, and there are enemies patrolling around the level. In this I bought drinks, so my stamina and invisibility are temporarily increased. We also have the map in the inventory, which shows the player where all the specific locations are and where they want to head to when they look at the objective system. So in this period, it's sort of quite important to really keep looking around. As you can see, the redcoats are just patrolling around, and as soon as they see the player, they charge towards them. And a part of the breakout method is the battering ram, which is found inside of this area. We have the items around the level that you can find, which then the player can use to help them craft, as well as finding little consumable items like bottles there to help keep them increase the invisibility and stamina. So this is probably my favorite part of this whole method, is the destruction of the wall there. And yeah, that is what we have for the beta footage of the breakout. I'm now going to pass it over to Josh, who is going to talk through our future plans.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
So we still have quite a bit we want to do, although we are quite happy with how the game looks right now. One of the few things that we want to add another method to escape being the bribery method, because it just adds the player experience if they can just do a whole bunch of different things. And we think just the more methods will give it more replayability, and that will definitely add that, I think. And another thing we want to work on is especially the nighttime mode environment, because currently it does not look like the red codes have entered. It kind of just looks like they're just wandering around at night, doing nothing. So we're still especially adding stuff, especially with all the placeholder assets we have currently. We want to replace a bunch of them, because I think one thing we want to do right now is replace the bushes with English flags, because it'll add to the whole red coat aesthetic, and like they're taking over the place, because it should feel like they're some kind of danger to you. If they're not a danger, what's the point of them taking over? And another thing we especially want to do is polish up the game a little bit. The game's just feeling a little bit lackluster in some places that we definitely want to work on. Like, I believe at some point we had a lockpick which was purchasable, which was just doesn't really help the game balance, and it's the small stuff in the game that we think we can change for the better, and small stuff like that. Especially for the art style, we definitely want to improve it a lot more, and we know we can do a lot better. I'm gonna pass it over to Elliot, who's the art guy.
Is my mic working now? No? Okay, I'm gonna switch headsets really quickly, is that right?
That was working. Yeah,
Oh, it's working? Did you say?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can
that's
hear you.
Oh, okay, sorry. There was a mute switch on, I did not realize. Yeah, so this is a trailer we put together. This shows some stuff that's a little bit ahead of what we had. So we filmed this in Engine. I've put some sound over it, I'll be quiet so you can hear it. Yeah, so that shows off some of the features that we were working on a little bit more. So there's a little bit of polishing. You see like the flags that we were talking about earlier on there. And like we redid the road texture and everything in Substance Designer, so it's like a proper actual road. We had an issue where it's a big roundabout, but the road texture doesn't like curve, so it's just like a bunch of junctions pretty much. So it's a bit weird. But yeah, the big focus has kind of been just improving sort of like making the night mode feel really different and taken over, because we put a lot of effort into the daytime, making it feel really alive and like individual in the art style. That's like a big focus for me. And when you get into the night mode, we wanted it to look really, really transformative. And so it's like clearly the same place, but it's been completely taken over. So I worked on, I don't know if you see it in the trail, but I worked on a bunch of like cannon models and like barrels and crates and fences and stuff. So all over the place, it looks like it's really set up shop, and there's like ships flying overhead that we designed to look like actual boats that they're flying around. There's a couple of things we wanted to put in that we haven't been able to, that like issues we've encountered, which was namely, we wanted to put in, I was going to work on an animatic. I wrote them, one for the start, one for when it switches between day and night, that would like tell you what's going on and like explain it. But it was sort of just like, we had a lot to focus on, and all that work was going into that. And then before we knew it, it was like, oh, we don't really have time to work on like 2 full-on animatics for that. But it's like written and there. If we maybe have the time to squeeze it in, I doubt it though. But yeah, we're pretty happy with how the games looked. Art was kind of, we wanted it to look, I think, very individual. That was a big focus. Like, keep the gameplay simple, keep the visuals like really, really unique and fun and cool. So there's a bunch of like little references and stuff. But yeah, that's what I've got for you.
Great work, guys. Really cool, like mashup of different mad aesthetics and ideas, and like loads of cool stuff going on. Yeah, what do you think, Steph?
Yeah, this was a very fun one to look at last time, and it's very fun to look at it again. Yes, it's my cat, Josh Leon Kennedy from Resident Evil. Has come to see your pitch today. Yeah, amazing. Like, I thought it looked amazingly polished before, so it's even more amazingly polished today. You have a great awareness of players and player psychology, which a lot of developers don't have and don't apply to their development, is the kind of thinking of their game as a product and people who consume that. So we don't read things, a lot of us. I am a quest skipper, but then I'll also be annoyed that I don't know what's being asked of me or where to go. So, and you'll be like, but I wrote you a quest, Steph. And I'm like, yeah, but I skipped it. So you're very aware of that, which is great. You've got some amazing things like hats to customize, Easter eggs to kind of encourage people to explore, and they're rewarded for that. You've got timers to kind of give players a sense of urgency as well. And just brilliant things like thinking about multiple endings, and that players might want to choose different paths, which also might fit well with the brief as well. If you've got kind of less, and I didn't even think your ending was particularly violent, but you've got an even less violent ending with this kind of, sometimes talking words have more power than actions. So there's a lot of replayability in that, which again is a very commercial thing, that your game is replayable, which, you know, gamers love. We want value out of the things that we buy. Fun trailer as well. I thought, I'm very torn because I loved elements of it. It was incredible. But then I did think at the end it was a little bit too long and a bit more kind of showing almost the whole game and what you do in it. But then the wall bit at the end was just hilarious. It was great. And then the little run audio was just, had me chuckle it. I think my microphone was like, do you know you're muted? Because I was laughing so loudly at that. So there's a really cool guy called Derek who does a lot of trailer guidance. You may have heard of him, but he has some really cool free articles that you can kind of explore around trailer creation. You did some really good stuff. A lot of indies will do things like their trailer will pop up and it has their logo at the start. And most consumers don't know developers, unless you're like Rockstar or someone. Just go straight into the action is always a really good bit of advice to have on your kind of marketing bits. So bits of feedback. And I think, again, you'll have to prioritize how much time you have for it. My kind of key one would be, how do players know where to go and what they're doing, and test that and really think about how you pull players through the map and how that changes at nighttime. And sometimes you might get, you know, people have boxes out during the day and then they pack them up and stack them at night, and then it changes the flow of the map. but it retains most of the kind of qualities of the map. For example, there's a nighttime map and a daytime map. And you could do that again by highlighting the enemies more. And you've talked about this already. So some examples might be, they've got red glowy eyes, or they've got visual cones so you can see where they're looking and what way they're going. You could have things like boxes strategically placed that you don't think anything of them until you're sneaking and you're like, oh yeah, I need those boxes because otherwise someone's going to catch me. Or even like silly little barrels that you can waddle in. Zelda does that a lot in Wind Waker. So it gives you kind of an environment piece, but then it becomes its own prop in its own right. So I'd really think about how you pull your player through and encourage them to be finding the elements they need to progress. Brilliant like crafting stuff as well. And you knock the wall down by collecting and creating things, and you've done a really good job in your quest of being like, this battering ram is over here, so just make sure you've got that on your map or somewhere to encourage players to find where that is. I hate it in games when I have a quest and it's like, yeah, just go and find the key, and I'm like, this world is enormous, how do I find where the key is? I don't know. And then I look it up on my phone, but then I also maybe get distracted by my phone, or because I've left the game I might not go back to it. So I always think it's good to utilize that information in game somewhere to signpost players. Do a bit of testing. I think you were struggling to jump over your fence at one point. So just make sure that all your game is traversable and it's, at the difficulty level for your audience. Think about the brief as well and what's been asked of you, and are you kind of encouraging those positive impacts of migration and what the client was looking for from you? Have you ticked all of those boxes and fulfilled all those requests? And then a really teeny tiny little thing, I noticed some of the audio cut off in specific bits of your UI. I think it was the map and the shop UI, but then the main menu was fine. So I just think about, I found it a little bit jarring because it was like the sounds disappearing. So maybe just do a little sound pass and a playtest pass kind of thing. That'd be good. But these are all very little things that, you already have a really incredibly polished demo, far above where I would expect you to have. So really good work.
It is super duper polished, isn't it? Like every few seconds on the video that you noticed another thing. Like, oh, that's a nice touch. Oh, that's a nice touch. Like having the 2D drawings mixed in with the UI and stuff like that.
Yeah. And that level of polish just elevates games so much, where you just think, wow, this is really well done.
And the little Han Solo reference when you're in the bar from the little Who Shot First scene, but with this little octopus face.
Yeah. And there's a couple of things you could do actually. You could do a kind of Star Wars tease where for the narrative stuff, instead of doing the animated things you wanted, do a little bit of Star Wars scrolling text maybe to give a bit of context. Or you could maybe tease Cantina music as well, and obviously not do it because of copyright, but you could tease it slightly and everyone goes, little things like that might help you cheat slightly with the time you have left.
It's really good to have the background chitter chatter noise as well comes in when you're in the cantina place.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Super cool.
Have you guys had fun making it? It looks like it's been loads of fun.
I've had a lot of fun, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a really fun thing to work on.
It really shows.
Definitely.
It seems like to me like you can really tell when a group has gelled really well and they've just had fun and they've been talking and having loads of different ideas crammed into one thing. It feels like a lot of people's personalities have come together and gone, oh, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? But they all feel relevant.
Have you guys slept this time?
A little bit.
Good. Maybe after you submit, have a nice break, because it really feels like you've been putting so much love and care into it, and it really shows.
Yeah,
I think Elliot needs it the most.
Yeah, other Elliot, not me. He needs it a lot. Yeah. Yeah, there's tons of features we wanted to put in and we just don't have time to, like the little references and stuff. There's a bunch of inside jokes already in it. Like the big pumpkin is my Elden Ring character that we put in the game. And like the guy with the big melon is like a reference to one of my friends and stuff like that. Just a bunch of little things in it. And there was so much more we wanted to add and just haven't had time. But it was a lot of just like getting together and being like, this would be a funny thing to add, this would be a funny thing to add, and just like throwing stuff in, and it's just been a lot of fun because of it.
And I don't think you mentioned anything like, we have this big feature that needs cutting, or this thing's gone like terribly wrong. Have you had any like disasters, or has it been smooth?
No, we in alpha the focus was a lot on making sure the features worked at a very at the basics, and then as we went along, we would build on top of them. The big thing that did get changed from alpha to beta was interacts and picking up items, or picking up key items, specifically like the battering ram, were two separate buttons, which through beta became merged into one, which was sort of the only real big change, whereas all the features have pretty much stayed the same since we implemented them in alpha.
Awesome. Well, I guess that's the benefit of being really organized and prioritizing and building everything from the ground up, right? Awesome. All right, well done, guys. Have you got any questions at all for Steph?
No questions from me.
No, you're all happy.
No, I think we're all good.
Brilliant. All right, well, good luck with the next couple of weeks. It's looking fantastic.
Thank you.